welcome to today's installment of Let's Talk About It, where I talk about a topic that's been floating around in my head. If you're new here, my name is Roland Marie. I make various content on YouTube. It's kind of whatever I want to do. If you like what you see here, you should definitely stick around by hitting the subscribe button and also hit the thumbs up button, to show me some love. If you aren't new, hey baby, nice to see you again. You're looking nice, you're looking fresh, okay? So today's topic is going to be on toxic positivity. So what is toxic positivity? On today's video, we're going to define toxic positivity as the excessive and ineffective overgeneralization of a happy, optimistic state across all situations. The process of toxic positivity results in the denial, minimization, and invalidation of the authentic human emotional experience. And that definition is thanks to the psychology group. So it's portraying yourself in a manner of blissful positivity when it's not factual. It's presenting a facade. It's the capery. It's all of that into one in an effort, usually to cope with the negative shit that's happening, but usually it doesn't actually help you in any way because it's toxic. Now, the issue with this version of positivity is just the sheer lack of balance. So usually you'll see this kind of in like two branches that have other branches, but one would be when you have internalized toxic positivity on yourself, or when you kind of externalize it and put it on someone else, usually in an effort to be helpful, but it always doesn't translate that way to the person receiving the message. So when you're internalizing this brand of positivity, it usually results in you suppressing any emotion that is deemed negative. So if you are not always happy about something, it's a problem. It's I'm always happy and ethereal and always positive, and that's just not realistic to anyone's experience here on earth. Another issue is that it can kind of cause you to bury your head in the sand in an effort to remain positive. So, well, for one example, when the elections are happening, I saw a lot of people from the church be like, I don't care who becomes president or who wins any election because God is still in control. And it's just like, yeah, but God was in control when a lot of wild things happened, and they still happened. So let's not act like you don't have a part to play in the way that this world works. And they'll use things like that to, again, in a dismissive manner, but in an effort to maintain the positivity and kind of quell their own fears. But then that only allows more negative things to perpetuate because no one's fixing it, because everyone's head in the sand trying to maintain their positive aura. And you can kind of see this, the internalized version of toxic positivity, in things such as hustle culture. It'll be like, it's like telling yourself that failure is not an option. Grind never stops.
While y'all sleep, I'm out here grinding.
And all this other stuff. And it's just like, okay, yeah, it's very cute. It's very beneficial. Work ethic is a great thing to have. However, it doesn't serve you to overwork yourself. Now, consistently doing this to yourself will result in consequences, whether that be anxiety, depression, giving yourself stomach ulcers, something. But that denial of the reality in an effort to seem positive just doesn't help you. Negative emotions you may be feeling help you understand the reality of the situation, because everything isn't always nice. So if you're broke, you can say that you're broke, but you won't always be broke. It's not something that is permanent. But you can acknowledge the current state unless you don't like being broke. I don't know that many people who do like being broke, so you could say that. And then use that negative emotion as fuel for you to make better decisions so that in the future you won't have to be in this predicament again. But to slap the positivity band-aid on that, it doesn't help fix the problem at all, if y'all get what I'm saying. Now, externally, toxic positivity kind of has like a couple of things. Like, there's a lot of thought systems that have a current of toxic positivity into them. And they basically work by giving you a half truth and then flipping it to the point where it's no longer makes sense. But because you already assume that the half truth is true, then the other resulting statements are possibly true as well, which isn't always a fact. One system I know you guys have heard of is if you think positive, positive things will happen to you. So if you're thinking negatively, negative things are going to happen to you. So depending on what's happening to you, you know where your thoughts usually are. And I find that to be just flawed in many ways. To me, the way I see it is kind of like, have you guys ever bought a, not have you ever, but if you've ever bought a car or had a friend who just bought a car, you suddenly start seeing that car everywhere. And it's not like everyone decided to get that car at the same time you decided to get that car. It's just now you are more aware of that car because you now have like an attachment, I guess, to that type of car, whether it's your car, your friend's car, your mom's car, whatever. So I think the same thing works for negative and positive thought patterns. If you're in a positive thought pattern and something positive happens, that just affirms the thought pattern, so the loop continues. Versus when you're in a negative thought pattern, if something negative happens, that affirms the negative thought pattern, and it keeps going. So I don't think it's like a cause and effect kind of thing. I just think it's more of a, what is just that depending on what your thought pattern is, determines your awareness of reality. That makes sense. Well, not even your perception, I guess, of reality, because you would always assume that something bad is happening if you are a negative thinker. And if you are somebody who is a positive thinker, then you would, even if something bad were to happen, you'd assume like, oh, okay, well, that's like an outlier in the general consensus of what happens to me. I feel like I said a lot of words. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. But then that also goes off into like the whole law of attraction thing, which I never really quite I understood what they were trying to say, but it never quite hit me like that. I don't know. That's another video for another time. Now, on a more person-to-person level, this will look more like, again, dismissing their feelings and shoving positivity down their throat. Say someone has experienced a loss and they're expressing, oh Lord, and they're expressing their grief to you. You would turn around and say, oh, everything happens for a reason. Just stay positive. You'll get over it. And granted, that loss could be anything from the loss of a job, loss of a family member, loss of a relationship, loss of a very valued bracelet. But that's not what they needed to hear at the moment. And another one that kind of grinds my gears is when someone's expressing their disappointment, and you have someone who comes out the woodworks and says, well, happiness is a choice. And unless they're like a real bratty person who just complains about everything, then perhaps you can throw that at them. But otherwise, like, what? Like, yes and no. But no, it's more of a no. Because again, like I said, if they're a bratty complainer and they just like to complain, I have one of my sisters, she likes to complain. So I'd be like, okay, let her get it all out and be like, you feel better now? If not, then I don't know what to do for you. But if this is someone who's genuinely has a normal span of emotions and you throw them out here, that's rude. So you're probably like, bro, I get what you're saying, but like, is this really a problem? Yes. Yes, it is. And I'm gonna tell you why. While these things are like generally well-intentioned, because a lot of us don't know what to do and we're not that great at being empathetic, so we're just trying to like give off these platitudes in an effort to make someone feel better. It actually generally tends to do more harm, because at its worst, toxic positivity can make the person who's going through a hard time feel blamed or shamed for the hard time that they're dealing with. And that level of shame for not being in a positive mind frame really will end up stunting their emotional growth and human development, because this life is cyclical, and you gonna go through good times, you gonna go through bad times. And to tell someone that they should only focus on the good times when bad times are happening, it don't help the bad time any. Like, it doesn't build strength in them, it builds denial and escapism. And the benefit of a negative experience or a negative period is that you face those challenging feelings, and then you get to get further insight on yourself. And it builds character, because when you see how you react to some things and you look back at it, you'll be like, oh child, oh child. So this video would not be complete unless I gave you some solutions, saying, hopefully do better as we go forward. First thing is to validate your feelings and the feelings of the person in front of you, and try to show empathy. Talking about something, even if you don't have a solution, can really just help you get it out your body. And that keeps us sane and healthy, and helps remove the tension that you would have if you were to hold that, if you were to kind of suppress the truth in an effort to seem positive. Once we honor those feelings, then we can continue to honor the rest of ourselves, the good and the bad, the ugly, the pretty, and get a fuller human experience. Another thing you can do is make space for emotions that aren't positive. Let these emotions breathe. They are here to inform you of the reality around you. Now, if you're someone like me who has an anxiety disorder, you be tripping sometimes, and it's fine. We know that. Hence the medication, the therapy, and everything else that you gotta go through. But if I also am aware that sometimes I be right. I look at my emotions and I'm like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Does this fit the actual situation? If it does, I hear her out. If I don't, I talk her down. And we keep it pushing. And also be realistic about how you should feel. So, like, if you're going into a new environment or you're starting a new venture, being scared and stressed and anxious is right on the money. Like, that is exactly what you should be feeling. Like, that is absolutely normal. So don't berate yourself for feeling those things, because it makes sense in the context of the situation. So, like, allow yourself to ease into that new arena, into that new role, and give yourself some grace and some time, so that you, again, aren't perpetuating your own toxic positivity rhetoric in your head. Back to what I said with making space for your emotions and my anxiety, but it's also build your self-awareness so that you know the difference between being informed by your emotions versus being controlled by your emotions. Also, with self-awareness, you need to know when something is outside of your scope. So something that someone is going through is not something you have ever dealt with, or you don't know what it's like at all. You can say you don't know what that's like and still be like, I'm sorry that you're hurting, versus shooting off with the, oh, I'm so sorry, everything's gonna happen for a reason though. It's okay, it's fine. Work out, it's not that bad. Just breathe, just smile, you'll be fine. Because what it sounds like to the person you're saying that to is that you think that they're overreacting. You're belittling what they feel like is a big deal. You're telling them that you're not trying hard enough. And again, when to be more helpful, you could be like, yo, this seems like something that's really hard, and you're doing an amazing job of trying to deal with it, and I'm here if you need me. Easy. Or if you're one of those people who like to be a little bit solution oriented, you could be like, hey, I see that you're overwhelmed. I know that this is a lot right now. What are some things you can control, and what can I help you with? Mwah. Beautiful. But like, again, I know the platitudes, we all talk the platitudes, but like, come on, you guys. Let's do better. Let's grow. Let's evolve. So that's all I have for now. Let me know what you guys think and how you feel down in the comments. If you'd also like to hear my opinion on a certain topic, you can go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. It was nice seeing you again, and I hope to see you again on another video. Bye.